Good morning, everybody. I'm here this morning specifically to talk about a report that many of you will have seen around the place. We've certainly made this available to you if you haven't seen already. For those international colleagues here, the Joint Mathematical Council of the UK is a group of learned societies and organisations, all who have a central concern over mathematics and mathematics education in the UK. And about 18 months ago, prior to our change of government, they established a working group to revisit, and I'll say revisit because the topic of digital technologies in maths education in this country has been on the agenda since the 1970s. This isn't a new area for us. And the intention was to revisit the discussion, the argument, the evidence, and draw together a report which would give us the, if you like, the state of the art and indicate areas that we might want to move in this country. Now, in that period, we did have a change of government, and we now find ourselves in the middle of a curriculum review. So the importance of this document is really being heightened by that. And as you can imagine, we're engaging in rich discussions with people like Tim Oates and the panel that are actually looking at reviewing that curriculum to really try and explore just how we can shape the way that our learners are going to be engaging with mathematics, particularly concerning how we do or don't integrate technology within that. So what I'd like to do is just share a couple of the outcomes, but because the session is about implementing the change, focus in on how the important aspect of teacher development is really going to be quite fundamental to how we might move forward on this. So references there. I would urge you to go to the JMC website and download the full report because you'll find a lot of useful references in there, particularly around international developments on curricula and assessment, where we're aware that other countries do things differently, and that might be a useful document for many of you. So, I mean, this big first recommendation is pretty well what was coming out of a lot of the discussions yesterday, and certainly the community in maths education that has focused in on technology would have been saying this for some time, that we've got to take account of how the students are using technology in their everyday lives alongside the way that mathematicians are using it. And one of the things that maybe hasn't been pinned down and defined in the discussions that have happened so far at this summit has been really thinking about what do we mean by these digital technologies. And certainly for the purposes of our report, we were very specific in that we were talking about expressive technologies that allow the students, the learners, to drive the way in which they're used. So we're very aware there's all manner of technologies out there that support teachers to explain, that support learners to consolidate prior learning, but we were really focusing in on the opportunities that students do and don't have within that. I'll give you a very tangible example. Earlier in the week, I was visiting a state comprehensive school in the London area that has achieved outstanding status as a mathematics department. So our Office for Standards in Education have visited the school and judged the teaching and learning of mathematics in that school to be outstanding. Now, interestingly, there was almost no use of technology going on in that mathematics department. And we can question whether in this day and age, the criteria to be an outstanding mathematics department might demand that students do have the opportunities to use technologies in the way that I've just described. So in looking at our system, whilst we might have this huge desire for our learners to have their hands on this technology, without the parallel thought around the nature of the curriculum, the nature of how we learn mathematics, and thinking most importantly about how that's assessed, to look at those things separately is, in my view, a big oversight because there's an integral link between those aspects. And we dabble with the curriculum, we dabble with the assessment, we dabble with how we might want children to learn mathematics using technology, but we need to look at this whole system in order to really be able to understand how the various aspects relate to each other. That brings on to the next one. So interestingly, a conversation with our colleague from OCR yesterday mentioned how we'll wait and see, the expression was, we'll wait and see what the curriculum looks like, and then we'll design the assessment for it. I'll just leave that one with you, because I think speakers later this morning are going to pick up on that one. We can't get away from the fact that our teachers' practice in school is driven by the nature of the high-stakes assessments in which they're existing. We can't get away from that. So no matter how many projects, how many innovative teachers we've got who are beginning to use technologies in this way, without this joined-up picture that relates to that high-stakes assessment, then it's hard to see how we can move in a direction that offers these opportunities. And linked with that is opportunities for professional development. There's a huge wealth of research data and certainly the maths education community through conferences such as the International Conferences on Technology and Mathematics Teaching and the International Congress in Mathematics Education, which will be later next year. These are hot topics. We know a lot about how teachers, the complexity involved in actually integrating technology into classroom practices. So learning from what we've got there and looking at the ways in that we can build networks of teachers working collaboratively to integrate technologies in the way we're describing is a crucial aspect. Thank you very much.